Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and I just got back from the new film G.I. Joe Retaliation. Cobra, who have somehow managed to kidnap the president and replace him with an imposter who no one knows isn't the president because he looks exactly like him, and has come up with yet another scheme to rule the world, tries to destroy the Joes and kills most of them, including Duke, played by Channing Tatum, and the Joes have to come back and clear their name and destroy Cobra from trying to destroy the world and take it over once again. G.I. Joe Retaliation is kind of a reboot, relaunch of the franchise after the first film. I don't think the first film was a total failure financially or artistically, I guess, and it stars the king of all sequels, The Rock, and it cuts down on the characters. It has a lot less characters since so many people are killed in the film. Channing Tatum supposedly shot more scenes when they delayed this film from July of last year to this upcoming weekend. They work very well in Channing Tatum's strengths. They do feel a little tacked on. One of the big reasons I actually like the G.I. Joe franchise over the Transformers franchise, at least the big Hollywood motion picture franchises, is that the G.I. Joe franchise is actually based on the cartoon, whereas the Transformers just looks like they hadn't actually ever seen a cartoon, or maybe they did once but they never really got into it. And the G.I. Joe franchise feels like there is a real love of the cartoon show and the comic book. That's something I really like about it, because I am someone who grew up with the G.I. Joe cartoon show, and I kind of still like it, I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I have a certain level of nostalgia for it, and I end up liking these films a little bit more than the Transformers films just because they have a little bit of respect for the source material. This film is directed by John M. Chu. His three previous motion pictures have been Step Up 2, Step Up to the Streets, Step Up 3D, and the Justin Bieber documentary Never Say Never. The selection of John M. Chu for G.I. Joe Retaliation might seem odd, but if you remember when Trey Parker and Matt Stone made Team America World Police, they actually said that all Michael Bay movies are kind of shot and directed like musicals. And I think John M. Chu, it's kind of the similar idea that I know musicals and dance movies aren't the same, but they're, a lot of musicals are shot the same way. If you think of Singing in the Rain, for example, with Gene Kelly, you can really shoot dance movies and musicals the same way you can shoot action movies, because you really need great staging in both. And I think having John M. Chu direct this film was a very inspired choice. This is a much better film than the original G.I. Joe film, Rise of the Cobra, and what's a lot better about it is he seems to understand how to shoot an action movie, and not in the typical newer crappy way where like you stage a sequence very badly and poorly and then you have the camera move around a bunch to kind of trick everybody into thinking it's a thrilling action sequence when the staging is awful and it's not a very good action sequence. He knows how to shoot and stage action sequences because he shot dance movies, and when you shoot a dance movie you can't have that much cutting or people are going to know that the people who are dancing aren't dancing, and you have to shoot on action and on movement. The way John M. Chu shoots and stages action sequences is so much better than a lot of action directors now. He's so good at it, he shoots them clear and precise, and with great physical actors like Ray Park, who plays Snake Eyes, and The Rock. Also, that this is his third film in 3D, he really gets the point of 3D. It's a spectacle. The sequence where he has Snake Eyes and Jinx mountain climbing and jumping around the mountain fighting people with swords, which looks extremely dangerous, but was an amazing, thrilling, awesome sequence in 3D. And all the action sequences not only work really well and are shot fairly well for a mainstream big budget action movie, but they all work very well with 3D. It's a gimmick, it's stupid, it's silly, and when you get a director like John M. Chu who knows what he's doing, you get a really cool, awesome spectacle of a blockbuster, and blockbusters are spectacles, they're roller coasters. I still hate the way Snake Eyes is designed. I really prefer the older cartoon design of Snake Eyes. That's one of the problems I have with the G.I. Joe franchise, is they kind of modern blockbusterize, the whole idea of it. I really dislike Cobra Commander's voice. The Transformers movies, the one thing they got right is they got the voice of Optimus Prime from the cartoon. They got a lot of the voices from the cartoon to be in the Transformers movie. And why don't they have the voice of Cobra Commander in the G.I. Joe movie? And the voice is just awful. It's not Cobra Commander. They don't even really get the character very well. Maybe that's why they didn't want the original voice, but I think that's kind of part of Cobra and part of G.I. Joe. And I like that they included Jinx, who's from the 1987 cartoon film. It knows that it's a stupid big blockbuster movie, and it's a really dumb, stupid movie, much like the original. But it doesn't really fulfill my guilty pleasure action movie needs and watchability the way, you know, Fast 5 was. Really what's holding this movie back is, and the first G.I. Joe film as well, is that it's kind of embarrassing to have said you've seen this movie at least once, and I don't think I'd ever see it again, whereas anytime Fast 5 is on HBO, I will watch the entire thing because I love it and it's amazing in stupidity and awesomeness, whereas G.I. Joe Retaliation is stupid and dumb, but it's just a little too stupid and dumb for its own good. The third act kind of wanes on me. As much as the action sequences are great, and you know, an appearance by the RZA as Jinx's blind sensei, the first cameo of Bruce Willis, and all the stuff with Storm Shadow. I love The Rock as Roadblock. You know, he doesn't rhyme, unfortunately, although he does quote Jay-Z at one point, so I guess he kind of rhymes. The third act, you know, I'm not sure if it's because I've seen too many big, stupid Hollywood movies, and I'm just sick of third acts and I'm kind of numb to it, or that the third act just wasn't as thrilling as the rest of the sequences. I kind of feel like it wasn't as thrilling, but I think that might be my own personal bias just because I'm so sick of third acts. I mean, it's so hard to find someone to do a thrilling third act that really has the chutzpah that third acts used to when you were a kid. Remember how thrilling and awesome third acts were? G.I. Joe isn't my favorite franchise, but I do look back on the G.I. Joe cartoon fondly in the original 1987 film. And although this isn't the best G.I. Joe film, which will still be the animated movie, I think is the best G.I. Joe movie, this is a much better second place and way better than that first film. I might actually watch this one again. This is closer to kind of a cartoon G.I. Joe plot than even the first one, and I thought the first one was a lot like the original cartoon as well. So the fact that they've actually improved upon the franchise, it is a little cheesy, it is a little hokey. I think it's a really good, stupid, disposable blockbuster movie. And that's kind of what you want out of a stupid, disposable blockbuster movie, is to leave and be like, yeah, I might never see that again, but at least I have a good time. So if you have seen G.I. Joe Retaliation and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments, and subscribe if you would like to. And you can also check out my review of the 1987 G.I. Joe the movie, and my original and first YouTube review I ever did, which was of G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra, which is kind of a little embarrassing, but that was just, I was just like, I'm going to start with this movie, and I decided it, and that's what I did. So if you ever want to see what my very first review was like, then you can check it out in this annotation for G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra. So it's kind of like a nice little nostalgic trip going back to this franchise, because it is kind of what started me as a YouTube critic. So check out both of those. I think G.I. Joe the movie and this review are probably a lot better than G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra, and I apologize for the weird quality of it. And that's it.